You know, every year, millions of people dream about starting their own business, but only a small fraction of them ever do it, and only a smaller fraction of those actually succeed. The reason most people get stuck is that starting a business feels like standing at the foot of a mountain made of problems, and no one teaches you how to solve them. Until now. In this video, we're going to walk you step by step through the fastest way to turn your idea into a business that prints money every single day, even when you sleep. Welcome to Alux, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Now, before we dive in here, in order to make the best use of this video, you should already have a business idea in mind. If you don't worry, okay? We made a video last week that walks you through how to come up with one that's actually going to work. But here's the short version. Pick something you're good at, something you're passionate about, and something people are willing to pay for. Then, do it in a way that sets you apart, where you're not competing with everyone else, but carving out your own little market. And finally, make sure it's actually going to work by answering basically, how are people going to pay me? And how am I going to do what they pay me for? So with that, you'll be ready to go. But honestly, for most people, it's this early in their business journey where things already start going wrong. You see, most people treat starting their first business like a giant puzzle where every single piece has to be solved at once. They convince themselves they need the perfect logo, the perfect website, the perfect business plan before they can even begin. So they end up spending months polishing their brand, designing flawless systems, or worrying about how they'll hire employees when they're not even making money yet. That's like worrying about taking step 7 perfectly before you've even taken step 1. And the thing is, by the time you actually get to step 7 for real, everything will have changed anyway. So the truth is, starting a business isn't about solving every problem at the same time at any given moment. It's just about solving the problem in front of you right now. Because imagine your business like a pipe carrying water. The water only flows as fast as the tightest bottleneck allows. And now imagine that pipeline is your business, and instead of water, it's carrying money. Every time you solve a bottleneck, the flow increases. Then another bottleneck appears and you fix that one. If you keep doing this over and over again, just solving the problem that's immediately in front of you, that is how you build a business that makes money day after day with or without you. But that begs the question, if building a business is really just clearing the bottleneck in front of you, what are the biggest problems you'll actually face? And in what order do you need to solve them if you want your business to get off the ground fast? Well, let's go through the major constraints one by one in the exact order you will run into them. With each step, you'll knock down another bottleneck and unlock the next level of your business. Okay, so the very first problem you need to clear out is the legitimacy constraint. That is step 1. Because let's face it, okay? Until your business is officially a business, you don't really have a business. You're just playing around with an idea and the world can smell that. On the other hand, once your business is registered, suddenly people know that you're serious. You can sign contracts, you can invoice, you can get paid. It's like flipping a switch from this might happen to this is happening. So here's what official actually means. For most people, it's starting an LLC or whatever the equivalent is where you live. You'll need to register for taxes, get any license or permits your type of business requires. This is non-negotiable, okay? Open up a separate bank account just for the business. If you don't, you're going to create a nightmare for yourself down the road. Now, even though this kind of stuff isn't technically doing business, it's essential. But that doesn't mean you have to overcomplicate it. The goal here isn't to build a legal fortress that lasts like 500 years. It's just to get you in the game without creating problems for yourself. So just pick the simplest option that protects you, get the paperwork done, and move on. Once you've done this, congratulations, my friend, you've solved the first constraint, and you're now officially a business owner. Now, if you've ever been in business or you're just interested in building wealth, you already know there's this constant hunger to get better every day in every area of your life. And that is exactly why we built the Alux app, okay? Think of it as your personal growth companion. When you sign up, you'll answer a few quick questions about where you are right now in your wealth, health, and lifestyle, and where you want to end up. From there, the app builds you a personalized learning path with daily lessons, expert-led courses, and practical tools designed to keep you moving toward your exact goals. And look, okay, hundreds of thousands of ambitious people already use the Alux app every day to sharpen their financial skills, strengthen their habits, and upgrade their lifestyle because it's everything you need in your journey to wealth and success. So, if you're serious about building wealth and leveling yourself up in life, this is the best place to start. And you can scan the QR code on screen or hit the link in the description below to get 25% off your yearly plan. Invest in yourself, my friend. It is literally the smartest move you'll ever make. All right, so moving on here now. The next problem you have to solve is the visibility constraint. That's step 2. Because you can have the best product in the world, but the truth is, if nobody knows about your business, it effectively doesn't exist. Now here's where most people get it wrong, okay? When they think about visibility, they start thinking way too long-term. They imagine branding campaigns, fancy websites, marketing strategies that might matter years down the line, but none of that is going to help you get a business off the ground fast. In the beginning, what you really want is just to hit the ground running and capture as much attention as you can, as quickly as you can. The fastest way to do that is with a launch. Basically, an event or a period of time where you promote what you're selling really hard. Again, no need to tweak your logo or change the font on your website. The best thing you can do here is to start off simply. Make a content post on social media, run a few ads, send cold emails to your ideal customers, tell your friends and tell them to tell their friends. Reach out to absolutely everyone you know and ask them, do you want this? Do you know someone who might want this? Or do you know someone who might want this? That's a launch. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to create a moment for the world to get to know you. Once you've done that, suddenly your business isn't just real on paper, it is real in people's minds. So after this, the next problem you're going to face is the revenue constraint. That's step 3. Because look, okay, after your launch, you'll probably get some business in the door. But after a week or two, the hype from your launch will die down, which is to be expected, okay? And you need to be ready for that. Every business, no matter how small, needs a baseline level of revenue to survive. And it doesn't have to be huge at the start, but it does have to be consistent. Once you've got that, the opportunities to scale are limitless. To do this, you basically need to build a steady version of your launch. Instead of a one-time blast of attention capture, you're setting up ongoing efforts that keep attention and sales flowing. This often means a simple landing page or website that clearly explains what you do, who you help, and how people can buy from you. It means posting content, running ads, and sending emails. And it means asking for referrals, because often your first customers are the best way to find your next ones. The best part about this is you don't need thousands of customers. Depending on how expensive your stuff is, you really only need somewhere between 5 and 50 people who will buy from you consistently. And once that's in place, you can rest assured that your idea works, and you might even be making some good money along the way. Now, of course, once you get some customers, you not only have to deliver everything that you've sold them, you also have to keep creating attention for the business, keep making sales, and keep the whole operation moving forward. And that's where you hit the capacity constraint, because no matter how smart or hardworking you are, your day is not getting any longer than 24 hours. The only way to remove the capacity constraint is to go from being the only person inside the business and build up a core team to handle its different functions. Now, obviously, this looks different for every single business. What a cafe needs is not what a software company needs, but generally speaking, there are a few roles that every serious business eventually needs to have. You'll need marketing to generate attention, sales to turn that attention into money, operations to deliver what you've promised, and finance or accounting to make sure the money is tracked and the business stays profitable. Depending on your industry, you might also add customer support, fulfillment, or project management to keep things running smoothly. But honestly, if you can get to the point where other people, not just you, are selling, you've hit a major milestone. If you can train somebody else to reliably convince strangers to give money to your business, then you don't have a side hustle anymore, my friend. You've got a proper working company. And look, okay, when you're starting out, and if you want to move fast, you don't need a dozen full-time employees. 1 or 2 reliable people, even as contractors, can start by doing a handful of these functions at a time, and that can free you up in ways that you can't even imagine yet. Now, as the headcount inside of your business begins to grow, managing everything that's happening inside is gonna be a little bit more complicated. In fact, that management chaos is the next constraint in front of you. It's step 5, and the only way to solve it is with systems. Remember, you're aiming for fast here, so these systems don't need to be fancy, but they do have to exist. The point is to keep your business running smoothly without burning yourself out. If you're running a service, that means having repeatable processes for delivering to clients. If you're selling a product, that means setting up systems for production, shipping, and support. Keep it lean, keep it simple, but make sure it works. Once you've put these systems in place, your business is never one bad day away from collapsing, so you've solved the chaos constraint. At this point, you've got consistent revenue, you've got systems in place, and you've got a team that can run things without you needing to hover over every detail. It's an incredible achievement. Your company now makes money by itself, whether you show up on Monday morning or not. But here's the thing. Because you've been moving as fast as possible, you've built what's called a minimum viable business. Now don't get us wrong here, that's 1,000,000 times better than no business at all. But probably it doesn't have as many customers as it could. It doesn't generate as much revenue as it could. Right now it is stable, but it's not operating at its full potential, which means, naturally, your next constraint to solve is growth. Your job as a founder shifts once again here. So what you want to do is set up the role of the architect, working on the systems that make growth possible. Or as Elon Musk puts it, building the machine that builds the machine. Now this could mean implementing new tools or processes that help your team close more deals, deliver faster, or scale customer support. It could mean finding new marketing channels, improving how you onboard customers, or tightening your operations so the business runs smoothly as it grows. It could also mean stepping back to learn new skills yourself, like leadership or negotiation, or even just networking to find people to do business with. The key here is to focus on what actually matters. Because think about it, okay? Lowering the cost of making one product from $50 to $48 is not as important as launching a new product. You want to be working on solving the right problems at the right time. Or in other words, this is the point where the theory of constraints becomes a full-time job. Repeat that process over and over again, and the business evolves from a lean, functioning machine into something far bigger than the minimum viable version that you started with. Now, eventually, you might reach a point where you're making more money than you ever imagined. Your team is running things, and your only real job is to keep spotting and removing constraints. But sooner or later, you might come across one that you can't solve. Maybe it's a new market you don't understand, a skill set you don't have, or simply the realization that you've taken the company as far as you can take it. At that stage, the constraint isn't the systems or the market or the product. The constraint is actually you, the founder. But don't worry, okay? It's not a bad thing. This is the moment where you're faced with a choice. You can bring in someone better suited to take the company further, or you could sell the business and cash out. Both options are wins, okay? Either you keep the cash flow or you take the big paycheck. Either way, you can look back at everything you've built and be proud. It's hard to get this far, so if you've made it, you've earned the right to decide what happens next. All right, my friend, that is how you start a profitable business fast. Hopefully this video got your gears turning, and if you're serious about building wealth and becoming the ultimate version of you, look, you've got a whole community of like-minded people waiting for you inside the Alux app, and you can get it right now by scanning the QR code on your screen. We'll see you back here next time, my friend. Until then, take care.